Good afternoon. Welcome to Inside Indiana Sports Now with Kent Sterling. It's Monday, May 3rd, 2021. We're brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry. What a team they have there, led by the estimable Dr. Mike O'Neill, the best dentist I've ever gone to, the only dentist I've gone to the last 27 years. Give him a call. You want to take good care of your teeth? Hire a great dentist. 317-849-2933 is the number. Hit subscribe, hit like, ring the bell. Let's talk about sports. News about the Indianapolis Colts. Peripherally, the Chicago Bears have waived Charles Leno. Charles Leno, their starting left tackle. They drafted Tevin Jenkins out of Oklahoma State, and so Leno is expendable. Leno was scheduled to make $8.9 million this coming year. The Bears are in salary cap hell, and so they got to liquidate guys. They got to cast guys out, good football players. Leno has started like 93 games. He was a seventh-round draft pick in 2014, developed into a starting-level left tackle who is graded just a little bit higher by Pro Football Focus than Anthony Costanzo. Really good. His run blocking is terrific. His pass protection, not quite as good as Costanzo's, but still reasonable. Certainly better than Sam Tevi. All right, nothing against Sam Tevi. We're kind of crapping on Sam Tevi, but the truth is that he ranked dead last among the 30 tackles who were on the field for 1,000 snaps or more this past year. Last among all tackles. There were 30 of them who qualified for that ranking. And in run blocking, he was dead last for anybody who was on the field for at least one play, one running play. That's Sam Tevi, according to Pro Football Focus. Now, maybe he's a little bit better than that. I didn't study the Chargers' offensive line. I got better things to do with my life, but I do know this because I watched a lot of Bears football. Charles Leno is a good starting quality left tackle in the NFL, and him coming to the Indianapolis Colts would put the Colts in a position likely to be better than they would have been had they drafted a rookie left tackle. Sometimes good things happen to good people. I think Chris Ballard's a good guy. I think Jim Irsay's a good guy. I think Frank Reich's a good guy. I think good things happen to good people, and I think Charles Leno being waived by the Bears, although unfortunate for him, because who doesn't love living in Lake Forest, Illinois, where the Bears train and where they practice? Everybody loves living in Lake Forest. That's why real estate prices are through the roof. You can't afford to live there if you live in Marion County. I don't care where you live in Marion County. You cannot get nearly the house that you've got here up there. No chance. So what Charles Leno gets to do is he gets to sign a deal here, move to Indianapolis, and buy himself a great big-ass house because we got plenty of those here for what a 2,500 square foot place in Lake Forest would cost. Anyway, that's where I kind of grew up, Lake Bluff and Lake Forest, and so I'm aware of real estate prices in that area along the North Shore of Chicago. So, Charles Leno, a possible short-term Band-Aid, a possible long-term guy at the position. He doesn't turn 30 until October. However, here's the problem, is you can't pay everybody on the offensive line. You just can't do it. We saw what Bill Polian did. Bill Polian had like a formula for this kind of stuff, right? First of all, he never signed free agent linebackers, not even his own guys. Marcus Washington, bye. All those guys, goodbye. We don't need you here. We're going to draft another guy in the third or fourth round, plug and play him, and we're going to be in good shape. We got Brackett in the middle, and we're going to flank him with guys who can play a little bit. And that's exactly what he did for the longest time. He also, he paid tackles, and he paid the center, right? But he did not pay the guards. The guards were plug and play guys because you can't afford to pay everybody top dollar. If you have the best guard in the NFL, and that's what Quentin Nelson is, and you pay him as one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL, you've got a problem because you are cattywampus to the tune of about $15 million that you are spending on a guard that you can't spend elsewhere. You have got to allocate your resources with some wisdom, and you have to understand who to pay and where, just as importantly, to pay, right? So you've got Quentin Nelson, and this is the thing that may wind up happening. If he can play left tackle, don't sign Charles Leno. Move Quentin over. If you can have him be one of the top 7 left tackles in football, as opposed to the best guard in football, move him 3 feet to the left, and hire a plug-and-play guard. And Danny Pitter might be that guy out of Ball State. Might already have him. You got 2 guards who are affordable, 2 expensive tackles, and an expensive center. That works. If you've got the expensive center, an expensive guard, and an expensive tackle, who the hell else are you going to pay? You can't have 5 guys across the line of scrimmage on the offensive side of the ball that you're paying $15 million a piece to. You can't do that. Do you want to make an allowance for Quentin Nelson? You can do that, but then you're going to pay for it somewhere else. You're either not going to have a top, number 1 wide receiver, which really the Colts don't have at this point. You're not going to be able to afford edge rush guys. The good thing about drafting the guys that they drafted, Odeyingbo and then Kwity Paye, is that for at least 5 years, you're not going to have to pay them top range money in order to have those positions manned, as long as Dayo Odeyingbo can play, right? If he plays, that's great. If he doesn't recover sufficiently from that Achilles tear, that's a bad thing. However, you've got to look at it this way. You've got to pay your quarterback top dollar. You probably have to pay cornerbacks top dollar, right? You've got to pay edge guys because edge guys are rare, but maybe the Colts have figured out how not to do that. And because of that, they're going to be able to afford the luxury of the NFL's best guard and paying him like that. So you've got to decide, do you want the Bill Polian structure, that equation, pay the center and the tackles and not the guards? Or do you want to pay a left tackle and a guard and a center and another tackle, but not pay the edge guys? That's the decision that Chris Ballard's going to have to make. A lot of this comes down to math. We don't talk about math much. We don't understand math. We like watching football. We don't like examining. We're not spreadsheet people. We're not going on Excel and trying to figure out what the hell the cap ramifications are of signing a guy like Charles Leno. But you know what? It is really important. A huge part of what Chris Ballard does for a living is figure out not just this year, but next year and the year after and the year after that, how much he's going to have in his pocket to be able to spend on that roster and that practice squad. That's a big deal. And that is the calculus that he's got to work with in deciding whether he's going to sign a guy like Charles Leno, who may wind up, it may cost more than the $8.9 million that the Bears owed him this year. It may cost more than that. We'll see. It's going to be really, really interesting. But Charles Leno being waived by the Bears is really good news for the Colts, and we expect to see more of that. As teams continue to spend or have the necessity of spending, they're going to have to let some guys go because the salary cap has dropped. And because the salary cap dropped, these teams are kind of caught unaware. Now, that's a good thing for the Colts because they've always been way cap compliant. Like I said, they got $25 million under the cap, so that's really good. Mo Alie-Cox, he'll be back. He signed his qualifying offer, signed his tender. Last year, 31 catches, 394 yards, 3 touchdowns, crazy athleticism, a good blocker, ranked by Pro Football Focus the 5th best tight end in football last year. That's a little misleading because he certainly didn't play every snap. I don't think he played more than a third of the snaps playing with Trey Burton and Jack Doyle at that position. Burton, gone, but the Colts, they drafted a tight end. Mo Alie-Cox has hands like highlight cestas, for God's sake. They are huge. They got to be 11, 12 inches from stem to stern. They're the biggest damn hands I've ever seen. If you ever shake hands, if you get a chance to shake hands with Mo Alie-Cox, you shake hands with Mo Alie-Cox. And I mean, I don't have tiny hands. I don't have huge hands, but Mo just like engulfs my hand. So that helps him catch a football, also helps him block. That's why big hands are an asset. And people measure the hands, and we see them, at the combine. They say, oh, look at his hands, 10.5-inch hands, 10 3/4-inch hands. Ooh, 8 7/8 hands. Remember all that talk about Teddy Bridgewater? Like 9-inch or 8 7/8? And they're like, oh, he can't play in the NFL. His hands are too small. Well, they weren't. He plays fine in the NFL. Anyway, Mo Alie-Cox coming back. He's figured out how to play football now, right? He's not yet 30 years old, and he's going to turn 28, in fact, in September, and was a college basketball player at VCU for Shaka Smart. Comes here, they teach him football, and he's pretty damn good at it. What do you know? Every once in a while, you do that kind of thing, and you hit on those guys, and it really helps you down the road, as it has with the Indianapolis Colts, vis-a-vis Mo Alie-Cox. Want to remind everybody, speaking of the Colts, that they've got their virtual fundraiser for Kicking the Stigma, their battle to raise awareness for mental health issues. All you do is go to Colts.com/KTS, which is easy to remember for me because they're my initials, my name, Kent Thomas Sterling, KTS, Colts.com/KTS. Donate something, for goodness sake. They're doing really good work and trying to help in an area of great need. Pacers tonight against the Wizards. I don't know what the TV ratings are for the Pacers. I have a tough time watching an entire game from stem to stern. I never realized how important fans are to the fabric of a broadcast. It just never occurred to me that it was important for like people watching on TV. What do I care if there are 18,000 people at Bankers Life Fieldhouse or not? Well, it flavors the sound of the broadcast, and I think it kicks the announcers up a notch emotionally, and I think that helps. But watching Pacers games stem to stern has been difficult for me. Baseball, same thing. Although it was kind of cool yesterday. I think they had 17,000 or 18,000 at Great American Ballpark for a Cubs-Reds game that was epic. The Reds won in extras 13-12. I hate the runner on second going into extra innings. I hate it. It's a terrible rule. It's a contrivance. It's what Jackie Mason did to golf in Caddyshack 2 is exactly what Rob Manfred is doing to baseball. It's idiotic. We've got to move the game along. We can't have 15-inning games. We've got to blah 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 blah. So what do? You just throw a guy on second? This is how you operate? For God's sake. How about this? Here's a rule for baseball. Shrink the count. 3 balls for a walk, 2 strikes for a strikeout. Why do I have to watch 0-2 counts become 3-2 counts? It's just stupid. Why don't pitchers get guys out 0-2 instead of throwing a hook like 4 feet outside? What the hell good does that do anybody? It doesn't do me any good. It doesn't do you any good. The hitters lay off. They don't strike out except for Javi Baez on pitches like that, for God's sake. Anyway, it drives me nuts. Rob Manfred is the worst commissioner in the history of baseball, and that includes Happy Chandler. That is not an easy bar to clear. Rob Manfred doing it and doing it easily. Bobby Unser passed away yesterday at the age of 87. Bobby Unser would always come into the media center at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and I don't know Bobby Unser, so I'm not going to waste his time. I'd let Robin Miller and kind of the old-timers deal with Bobby Unser and ask him questions and then just let Bobby go. I interviewed him a couple of times for the radio show, and it was great because all you did was this. You hit record on your recorder, and you said, Bobby Unser joins us. How you doing, Bobby? And then you record the next 15 minutes, and it's gold. There's no follow-up question. He just tells stories that amuse him. And that's fantastic because they are really, really funny. And so Bobby Unser passing away yesterday. What a wonderful ambassador for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the Indy 500 and IndyCar racing. A terrific open-wheel racer. He won 3 Indy 500s. He's one of 2 guys to win the Indy 500 in 3 different decades, 68, 75, and 81. I'm not Donald Davidson, but I believe I remember that. And certainly among all the guys that I've ever met. And so, like the clown prince of racing, Eddie Sachs, I never met. Jim Hurtubise, I never met. I heard he was hilarious. Of the guys I've met, Bobby Unser is easily the most entertaining and easily the funniest. And sadly, he lost his life yesterday. And so the month of May begins with some sour news, but I'm sure it'll end with a not a literal bang, but a lot of fun at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as the Indianapolis 500 is open to 135,000 fans, and it's going to be great. Breakfast with Kent tomorrow. I can't wait to talk to you tomorrow. What are we going to talk about? Sports. It's what we do.